All right, good morning. This is Premarket Wake Up. My name's Frank. My community is called No More Paper Trading. It is a fledgling community right now. There's almost no members. I hope to grow it one day, but it's a community where traders can learn without being sold anything. Nobody in this community, I will do my best to root out anyone that's trying to sell you signals or memberships or mentorships. Knowledge should be free, and it is free here. As soon as we get more people join. But in the meantime, you can ask me any questions you like. I don't know everything, but I will try. Alright, as I go live, there is no news being released at 8:30. I think there was going to be, but with the government shutdown, there's nothing. Nothing released from the government, or it's delayed. I don't know what's going on with the shutdown. I don't think the world really cares. We have some news later on, but I'll get to that later. First, I'd like to go over the overnight moves, then take a look at the news, and then go over some key points and key areas going into the open. ES, or MES in the overnight, rose back up to yesterday's high, held there for a little while until around 6 a.m. before falling back through yesterday's high. Yen Q very similar, just like the ES. The Russell did not break back through. So the Russell rose, broke through yesterday's high, came back for a little touch right here at around 8 o'clock last night, Eastern Standard Time. Has been going up since. It's a little flat right now. Being held up right now at the current month high. The Dow, or YM, or MYM, broke through yesterday's high and is now sitting right at it. Looks like it might hold above. Gold, after suffering a pretty good down day yesterday, recovered a little bit towards the end of the day, and it was mostly flat through the overnight, bouncing once off of yesterday's close, and now making a push towards last month's high and yesterday's opening range low. Oil also had a down day yesterday, but mostly flat overnight, except for a push towards yesterday's open, I guess. A little bit all over the place. Again, I wonder if this huge downtrend in oil happened right at the start of the reality that the government was going to shut down. But maybe I'll go into that later a little bit when I look at for today. All right, the VIX. The overnight VIX, it gapped down but then was flat. The dollar is down. Again, the US dollar index futures, that weighs the dollar against all the major currencies equally. I'm pretty sure that's what it does. I don't know what currencies. But dollar's slightly down. All right, that's the overnight moves. Oh, I forgot to switch to charts. Anyway, here's the VIX. See how it gapped down and then was flat. And then the dollar's slightly down. In news, around 9:45 we're going to have the PMI starting, which I believe this is released by an independent organization, so it's not affected by the government shutdown. So I would block out from around 9:35 to 10:10 to avoid volatility. And then later on this afternoon we have two Fed speeches, 1:30 and one at 1:40. I don't know. My usual rule is to block out 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after for the statistical releases. For speeches, I don't really, I just am aware. If there's volatility starting anywhere from 120 to 140, I'll probably stay away for a while until the volatility ceases. Just in case they say something very one side or the other. Let's take a look at the Fed Watch tool. See if the probability went up. We're at 97.8% chance of a cut in October. 89.5% of chance of a cut in December. I wonder if January went up. I'll take a look at, let's compare now. So we're down a little bit from yesterday, but I wouldn't call that significant. Uh-oh, glitching a little. Same thing for December. Chance of a cut is down a little tiny bit, but not significant. So chance of a cut in January was up significantly. It almost doubled from 26th of September to yesterday, and is now down a little bit. Let's take a look at the headlines. I look at Yahoo, Fox Business, and bar chart just real quick to see what they say. I try not to pay too much attention to it because it's all BS. So they're claiming the futures are gaining on AI optimism. I'm seeing more and more, I don't know, evidence, if you can say that, more opinions that the AI bubble will burst at some point. I wonder if people inside of NVIDIA and Microsoft and, well, Facebook's always going to, Meta's going to be all right. They seem to get through a lot of crap. But the companies that really pivoted towards AI and put everything into it. Something like the expenses on AI, building data centers and everything. I forget the figure I heard. it's over 400 billion, whereas profits from AI less than 40 billion. That's got to hit earnings at some point. And it's going to come probably in the new year. We'll see it. But I don't know. Everything's an opinion. But just in my daily use, I mean, who seriously uses AI on a day-to-day basis to make money? Not many people. Nobody watches the AI crap that's uploaded to YouTube. No real graphic artist uses AI. No artist uses AI. All the attempts at replacing humans with AI have ended horribly. I just don't, unless I'm missing something. I saw a lot of people far more intelligent than me explain why they hit a huge wall right after GPT-4 in their expectations for AI. And that since then, everything's just been hype. Once they knew they could utter those two words in a investors meeting and make a couple billion, they just went nuts with it. But it could just be like the .com bubble, where people got overhyped for the internet and the value of the internet was real. But I think the major issue there is the value of the internet was real. The value of AI is not, they're not propping up AI, they're propping up language learning models, which are already very limited. And people tend to forget that AI is not new. AI goes back 60, 70 years, depending on how you define AI. And it's always been a slow process of development. And I think it still will be. And this is why I always talk about what will be the next market narrative. What will they try to push after the AI bubble bursts? It might be less of a burst and more of a slow realization, but that's not usually how it goes in markets. We will see. I plan on putting together a video to help boost the channel just a little bit about what to look for, how to notice the signs that there's going to be either a change in narrative of what's bringing value to the market, or there's going to be a burst, a bubble burst, basically. All right, let's see what good old Fox has to say. I mean, this is supposed to be Fox Business, and it's just political. Well, that seems somewhat interesting.
There has been a spike, I'm told, a spike in...
Great. All right, I'm done, because they're gonna Who cares? So, but this article I found very interesting. I know it has very little to do with futures or anything, but it just shows you the corruption and yeah, just corruption inside of every facet of the market now. So this is an article going on about this guy from JP Morgan saying there's too much hype around nuclear energy. And it's, if you read between the lines, it's so easy to see that he's clearly making money on the green energy wave yet, and that he's afraid of nuclear energy. And it's just weird, like all these speeches of where these people present at and where these people, like he made these comments about nuclear energy, and it just so happens to be, I'm going to try to look for it. He was at a conference for climate change. They're not even trying to hide their special interests anymore. Because a government, you can't make money on nuclear energy. Let me rephrase that. You can't make slimy money on nuclear energy. You can't hype it up. You can't try to get government subsidies and everything they do with green energy. Yeah, and they don't even hide it anymore. Everything has some, how much can we loot people? How much can we loot the public coffers? Instead of how much money can we make in just business? Because if you look at nuclear energy, if again, his arguments against it are, it costs too much. Well, it costs too much because special interest groups petition the government that nuclear energy is very dangerous and you need extra regulation, extra permitting. Without all that, before all that, we were building power plants, nuclear power plants, all the time. So, I don't know, maybe one good thing that will come out of the AI bubble is that people will see nuclear energy is the future. Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that. Alright, I'm going to take a quick look at today's different levels going into the open. So price came back and hit yesterday's close. We'll see if it bounces off there or not. This is the ES daily chart. I just don't see. I'm waiting for a pullback to the current month low, which would be the low on the first of the month, before I will enter anything. I might enter a shorter term trade at last month's close, which is at 67.38. But we'll see when everything's all hyped up and manipulated. I use that word lightly because I don't know if it is, but it just seems like it. I posed a question yesterday on TradingViews. Well, first of all, I saw a question or a statement, one of those blanket statements on StockTwits, where someone just said, it was kind of cocky. Said something along the line of, people don't understand. We're not going to have a real red day the rest of this year. Few understand this. It was like I don't know. So I asked the guy. I said, I don't understand. Can you tell me? He didn't reply. Because most of StockTwits is one group of people trying to seem superior over another group of people. It's actually kind of disgusting. I really don't know why I go on there. So I asked the community on TradingView, and the community on TradingView is a lot more helpful, a lot more organic, I guess would be the word. And I got a range of answers, all of them concluding that indeed we will not see a real red day before the end of the year. I don't know. I'm not so convinced. And what's a real red day? Some could argue that last Thursday, or not last Thursday, 2 Thursdays ago, the 25th, was that a real red day? I don't know. If you use that as not a real red day, well then we haven't had a real red day in a real long time. Not since Trump was opening his mouth back in April, May, when was that? Or the beginning of March, April. For a while there, it seemed like everything he said was turning the market one way or another. But every time, price recovered pretty quick. So that could be said for the whole year. I don't know. But let me just share some of the answers I got. Some of them were pretty good. So Marrow Clover. Liquidity is about to start hitting real data and seasonality. So I don't know exactly what he means by liquidity is about to start hitting real data. Does that mean the orders are going to start showing on the chart? I thought everything was in real time. Seasonality, I understand. People coming back from the summer vacation looking to... Oh, this is where he makes a real good point. Funds want to see a green report for yearly earnings before they dump and do it again. That makes sense to me. I don't know a whole much about it, but yeah, of course, companies always want to, hedge funds and whatnot, want to appear green on their quarterly reports or year-end reports. But that hasn't stopped other end-of-year markets to be red. The first answer I got was the strongest bull market in history. We're just at the beginning of the AI revolution. Again, I can't stress enough that I've been wrong very often. But I feel like that's just not going to happen. There's not going to be an AI revolution. The AI revolution was over about a year ago. The market just has not caught up yet. A real great answer I got was VK Cheapto. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know. Personally, I think anyone who has the time and day, like me, to be writing on Minds or on StockTwits isn't all that successful in trading. So he's mocking the know-it-all question that I saw on StockTwits. People deeply want to believe in what they're saying so they can feel like they know how the market works. But no one truly does. I say that all the time about news articles. They always, like we just saw it earlier, stock prices rise on AI optimism. Do they really know? Best to block the noise and focus on the charts news yourself. I tend to go on this and StockTwits to see sentiment and maybe even find some legitimate chart analysis done by others. Sometimes I go on it just for the giggles. Yeah, I can tell you in the beginning of my trading career, I would take a lot of what is said in the communities more seriously, whereas now I understand that nobody knows anything. Economics is not a science. Economics is it's more of a display of humans' ability to provide value. Anyway, let's get back to ES. If we do head higher, look out for the current month high at 67.8750. And if we head lower, like I said, I'd be looking at last month's close, which was not all that long ago. That was Tuesday. But I don't know. Maybe I'll scalp every dip. I'm not sure yet. I think I'm getting sick. Like that matters. Still have to work. NQ, very similar. Yesterday was a little bit more bullish in the NQ. When I say yesterday, I mean the whole day, overnight, and regular trading hours. I'd say if we head higher, definitely look out for the overnight high. But I probably won't touch it unless we pull back. The Russell, this seems to be a pretty large area of resistance forming right up here right now, as you can see in the overnight too. Hit a plateau of sorts right around, let's say, 24.86. So if we break through that, I'd say look for a pullback on there. Beyond that, we have last month's high, which is still hasn't been broken at all. If we head lower, there's last month's close at 24.55. I don't really see any other patterns. If I miss anything, let me know. Where did I see a big doji candle yesterday? That I think it was before the day closed, so it didn't count. I don't know. So the Dow does seem to be doing a bit better. I wonder why. But definitely look out for, if we head higher, the previous month's high, which was Tuesday's high, at 47,055. If we head lower, look out for previous month's close, which was Tuesday's close. Last Tuesday was the high. I'm sorry. Gold. Is this where I saw the big doji? I don't know. Gold recovering a little bit from yesterday. Stuck right now near Wednesday's open. Of course, if we had a higher, look out for yesterday's high, which I don't know if it was all-time high. I think it touched exactly and rejected. I wish I would have seen that. $39.22.8. Yeah, wow. Yeah, it touched it exactly to the tick. And then sold off like crazy. I couldn't trade yesterday. I had to work. Man, if I would have seen that, let's be honest, I probably wouldn't have traded it. I need to get better. Oil. Oil's an interesting one because to me it looks like oil's been dropping since the government shutdown was all but certain. Which oil is heavily manipulated by governments. And the fact that we just kind of ripped right through last month's low, which was not just last month's low, but it was a low created over time with a huge area of support or resistance, depending how you look at it. We'll see what happens now, though. The overnight recovered a little bit, but dropped again. And I would say volatility is actually quite high. I wonder what TradingView thinks. So I don't know if anyone's giving a reason. I don't care. I see what I see. Again, nobody knows. And multiple people can be right for different reasons. That happens all the time. But look for what happens when oil reaches 60-40. Look for a bounce from there. See if people can hold it up enough. But that's all I got for today. Again, I don't think anyone watched, but I don't care. I will be back on Monday. I'm pretty sure I can stream on Monday. Good luck. Be safe. Have a good day.